Radio. Rahim with the chairman, Bob Arum, Top Rank. First question being, the amount of promoters that had to come together to put a fight like this on at the O2, I would say would be thought impossible in men's boxing. So talk to me about the difference between the business of women's boxing and the business of men's boxing.
Well, it just seems that women's boxing at this level is really new. And when something is really new, people tend to cooperate more than if they've a history like men's boxing, where there's a lot more infighting. So it's, I guess, easier for promoters to come together to do big women's events.
Another thing that is new, really, in the sport around is the conversation, like the effusive nature of everybody's comments about women's boxing. That wasn't always thought to be a unanimous idea that this was a good thing for the sport or really to happen at all. You've been quoted in the past as not being that supportive of the sport. What's changed and evolved since women's boxing has done the same?
From the O2 Arena in London.
I never demeaned women's boxing from the standpoint of the athletic ability of the women.
The first ever all-female
What I was referring to was the fact that my experience in the United States was that people didn't come out to support women's boxing. And I think seeing this in the UK, it may very well be different, and I would hope that it becomes different in the United States. But I'm still not convinced that people in the numbers that we need will support women's boxing in the United States. I wish it was otherwise, because these are going to be very competitive fights here on Saturday with very skilled athletes. But look how long it took for example, the WNBA, the Women's Professional Basketball League, to get any sort of traction like they're getting now.
And to that end, it's now being said that England and the greater UK is now the home of boxing, or the base of the best boxing fans, the most support for the sport. Do you believe that to be true?
Well, nobody's dropping bombs, thank God, on the U.S. or the U.K. But, boxing is robust, or has been robust in, say, Ukraine and Russia. And now they're engaged in this despicable war, and that has prevented Ukrainian fighters from coming over to the West and fighting in large numbers. So, yeah, I think the two countries in the world where boxing is most robust is the UK and the US.
And to that end, we have a Ukrainian multi-champion in Usyk, who it seems that Tyson Fury would like to fight this year, but says he's not ready, and then kind of threw a curveball to everybody this week in offering Joshua 60-40. It sounds like Hearn, he said that they'll accept that if they can get the same in return on the rematch. Is that a fight, if both sides are willing, and it sounds like they are, that you're willing to make and think is a good idea?
Well, I don't believe it's going to happen, because I don't believe that Hearn is serious about it. If I was promoting Joshua after having lost 2 fights in a row to Usyk, I would look to take 2 lesser fights for Joshua to regain his confidence before he fights at the top level. Because if Joshua goes in with Fury, it's going to be a real brutal for Joshua. He'll get beat even more than Usyk was able to do.
I mean, that's fair from a promoter standpoint, but what the fans would say is that that's the thinking that keeps the big fights from happening one after the next.
Don't give me that crap with the big fights not happening. We've had only big fights in the heavyweight division, and you have to understand that you can't always have a particular fight that you want, because Fury and Joshua is not the big fight that it would have been if Joshua had beaten Usyk. So don't give me the idea that promoters are keeping the stuff back. Promoters are trying to make fights as best they can, we try to present the best fights possible. The promoters here in the UK do the same, but you can't have like instant gratification on every level. It's impossible.
All right, that's fair, but in this particular fight, if Joshua wants it, Fury wants it, would you stand in the way of it?
Of course I wouldn't stand in the way, but the Joshua people and Eddie Hearn are too smart to put Joshua back in the fire now. Yeah, if he really was serious about it, sure we would do it.
And lastly, he's talking about getting somebody back in the fire. Obviously, Vasily Lomachenko, back from the war. He's served his country well, but we want to see him get a chance to reclaim his titles. How far along are we in seeing an actualization of that in the ring?
He's fighting October 29th against Ortiz. He's a pretty good lightweight in the Garden. And then if he's successful there, I hope to match him with the Haney Camboza winner.
This is what I'm getting at. Is there an ongoing conversation if both fighters able to be successful in October, that's next on the card?
Well, I haven't talked to Camboza's people about it, but I talked to Devin and Bill Haney, and that's the fight they want.
I just was 2 weeks ago here with KSI, and then we've seen Jake Paul putting a fight on at the end of October. I know YouTube boxing isn't traditional boxing, but what do you make of how far these guys have come in boxing with YouTube cards? And is this something kind of like women's boxing that was thought to be not great at the beginning and could evolve to something that's a serious part of the sport?
I don't know anything about it. I've never watched it. But if people want to watch it and pay for it, it's fine with me. But again, it is what it is. But Jake Paul may be the next best thing in the world, but I don't know, but again, anything that people do that is not against the law, and they can make a couple of bucks from it, why not?
Well, you've made a couple of bucks in this sport for many, many decades, and we've been the beneficiary of some wonderful cards, not the least of which is happening this Saturday night at the O2. Thank you, Bob, for being a part of putting this promotion on. As always, Radio Rahim with the chairman, Bob Arum.